After the Orlando Magic reclaimed all momentum behind a dominant two-game homestand to even up the series, the Cavaliers returned to Cleveland undermanned without Jarrett Allen and their backs against the wall. Numerous players have been struggling throughout this series, and with a pivotal Game 5 that could hold sweeping implications for the future of the franchise, it was time for the Cavs to sink or swim. Darius Garland, who scored just 19 combined points in Orlando, erupted for 17 points on 6 of 8 shooting in the first quarter of Game 5. Garland's aggression electrified the Cavs early, getting downhill in transition and breaking the Orlando Magic defense by moving without the ball and shooting over drop coverage. Garland's teammates, family members, and coaching staff have been hounding him to shoot the ball with authority, and his dazzling opening quarter gave him the much-needed boost of confidence that would come into play later in this game. Across the board, the Cavs were asking for everyone to step up, much as they have all season long. This is a team that was demolished by injuries throughout the year, so with Jarrett Allen on the sidelines, it would take a village to replace his contributions on the glass. Each member of the starting lineup grabbed 4 or more rebounds, making this the first time that has happened for the Cavs in the playoffs dating back to last season. Mitchell, Strus, Okoro, and even Garland were battling on the glass to give themselves a fighting chance in this game. While they lost the rebounding battle by a slight margin, each and every contribution kept them within striking distance in a game that was decided by just 1 point. Evan Mobley, who has looked uncomfortable playing center throughout his young career, was thrown into the fire without Allen by his side, and he responded with 13 rebounds in his best playoff game to date. But we'll get to Mobley later, because we still have to talk about a few other players who rose to the occasion. Max Strus entered this game shooting just 3 of 17 from downtown, and while Max has proven to be more than just a shooter, there's no way around the simple fact that they needed the Strus to get loose at some point in this series. He finally found his groove in this game, knocking down 4 key three-pointers, including this absolute bomb in the third quarter, and later, a clutch go-ahead bucket in the final stages of the game. The Magic have worked hard to keep Strus from finding his rhythm, but this brief explosion might be all it takes to get Mad Max going for the remainder of the series. As for their other key free agency signing, no, not Georges Niang, it was Marcus Morris who stepped up to bat and knocked it out of the park in his 25 minutes. Morris was on his couch just a few months ago, but was brought to Cleveland for this very moment. His veteran experience was desperately needed for a young team still trying to establish themselves in the playoffs. Morris provided a calming presence that could set solid screens, play within the constructs of a team system, and bring the physicality needed to compete on the glass. All of this, plus a few timely three-pointers, were true difference makers in this game. Georges Niang's minutes in this series have gone as badly as anyone could imagine, so JB's decision to yank Niang out of the rotation entirely and turn to a trustworthy veteran was clearly the correct choice. Before we close the video by talking about Evan Mobley, I have to highlight Donovan Mitchell's resilience. Mitchell has been rough to watch for most of the series, and he struggled through a 9 of 23 shooting night in Game 5. But even with a noticeable limp and an elite perimeter defender in Jalen Suggs draped all over him, Mitchell scored 14 of his team-high 28 points, all in the fourth quarter, by fighting relentlessly to draw free throws and carry the Cavs over the hill. This hasn't been the series anyone would have hoped to see from Mitchell, and while the process was shaky, his heroics in the fourth quarter helped win this game. But most of all, it was Evan Mobley who finished the job. Playing in an uncomfortable position, Mobley recorded 14 points, 13 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocks, transforming into a destroyer on defense when the game mattered most. Mobley was deterring the Magic all night long, and in the closing minutes, he held Banchero to 0 of 3 shooting on tightly contested plays in isolation. On the other end, a powerful dunk from Mobley gave Cleveland the lead, and these final two plays are the highlights of the night. First, we see Garland show the confidence to call his own number against Jalen Suggs, breaking him down off the dribble and turning back the clock for a vintage drive and dime. And of course, it's Mobley on the receiving end. DG could have easily deferred to Mitchell on this play, but taking the game into his own hands is what we've been begging to see from Garland. And because DG has already established himself as a scorer earlier in this game, Wendell Carter Jr. feels pressured to contest the shot, and this is just a special pass. Finally, with a 2-point deficit and the shot clock off, the Magic go to a high pick and roll. We can see Strus trailing the play before peeling off to contest a potential pass to Banchero, but watch Evan Mobley's hips. He's successfully keeping himself in position to contain the drive or spring back out to the perimeter, and this brief turn of his hips gives Wagner the indication that he has enough daylight to drive to the basket. This false sense of comfort is something Mobley has used to his advantage all of his life, and so the only one surprised by this recovery and rejection should be Franz Wagner and maybe Coach Nick. Because while Mobley has plenty of room to grow as an offensive player, he has proven to be nothing short of a generational defender, and now we can add a game-clinching block to his young playoff resume. And while we are giving Mobley his flowers, pay attention to who is clawing for position to secure the rebound. Morris had the presence of mind to trust Mobley's defense and avoid rotating himself out of position, a mistake we saw from the Cavs all of last season. This veteran experience is why JB trusted Morris to be on the floor late in the game, and it's a lesson they can all learn from. Overall, the Cavaliers showed the mental toughness that many people have questioned throughout the year. There's no such thing as skipping steps in the NBA, and these milestone moments are vital to a team's development. There is still work that needs to be done, and this series isn't over yet. But bouncing back from consecutive beatdowns where they were outscored by 61 points in Orlando is the type of resilience the Cavaliers desperately needed to show. And for now, spirits should be high in Cleveland.